Most men over 60 are silently inflaming their prostate without knowing it. It's not genetics or bad luck. It's everyday routines, repeated for decades. Driving prostate enlargement, benign prostatic hyperplasia or BPH, urinary symptoms, and restless nights. Correct the habits, support your prostate health, and restore peaceful sleep. As a prostate doctor, I've observed this trend countless times. You might assume frequent urination is just a common part of aging, but it's not. It's your body sending a message. Most men dismiss these signals until it's already advanced. But what if you could break the cycle, prevent chronic urinary retention, and regain control over your nights and your daily routine? In this video, I'll share what's really behind your prostate inflammation, which symptoms should never be brushed off, and what small habits can stop inflammation before it becomes severe. This goes beyond general advice. It's exactly what I share with my own patients. If you appreciate real practical health advice for men over 60, take a moment and subscribe to this channel. Tap the notification bell so you don't miss tips that can transform your nights, shield your prostate, or even protect your rest. The prostate is a small organ, about the size of a walnut, located right beneath the bladder in men. Its primary job is to produce fluid that supports the pancreas, as well as easing fatigue and tingling. The prostate naturally tends to grow larger with age. This condition is called benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. While it isn't cancer, the effects it causes can heavily impact your quality of life. With BPH, the enlarging prostate presses against the urethra, the slim tube that carries urine out of your body. This tension makes it harder for the bladder to fully empty. Many men discover they need to urinate more often, particularly during nighttime. Some observe a weaker urine stream or feel their bladder hasn't been fully cleared. These symptoms usually grow gradually worse, which is why early detection is so important. Understand, BPH doesn't show up suddenly. It forms slowly over time, usually without urgent medical signs. Many men misread early signs as part of natural aging, unaware that these symptoms often signal an enlarging prostate. If left unaddressed, BPH can cause bladder strain and urinary retention. Knowing about this condition helps men act before more serious problems occur. Prostate health after 60 demands awareness and a preventative mindset. Experts who focus on men's health highlight how important regular checkups and recognizing symptoms really are. The goal isn't just treating discomfort, but stopping the condition's progression. By understanding what BPH is and how it grows, men can better handle their urinary well-being. That awareness is the foundation for building smarter health decisions moving forward. Early signs of prostate enlargement are often missed or dismissed as unimportant. One initial symptom is a weaker urine stream, where flow is slow or interrupted. Men may also feel stronger urgency to urinate, and even right after going. It's common to sense that the bladder didn't completely empty. These slight changes might seem unimportant, but they can signal the beginning stages of BPH. If you're finding this information useful, type 1 or 0. If there's another prostate topic you'd like us to explore, your feedback shapes future videos. So leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, another obvious indicator is nocturia, needing to get up multiple times at night to urinate. This disrupts sleep and over time causes fatigue and impacts quality of life. Post-void dribbling, where urine leaks after urination has ended, is another often ignored sign. These warning signals are not just normal aging. They're your body trying to get your attention. Neglecting these alerts can allow the condition to progress quietly. What begins as a mild nuisance can evolve into something that interferes with daily living. Many men don't seek help until symptoms are already severe, when urinating becomes painful or nearly impossible. By that stage, the bladder could be under stress or even injured. Paying attention to early prostate symptoms is critical for long-term urinary and bladder health. Specialists in prostate care urge men to notice even small shifts. The earlier BPH is identified, the more effective treatment tends to be. Being observant is the strongest defense for your prostate and the key to preventing bigger challenges ahead. Holding urine, a risky habit. One quiet but harmful habit many men develop is holding in their urine, whether it's due to busy schedules, discomfort in public restrooms, or simply not giving it importance. Postponing urination puts added stress on the bladder and prostate over time. This habit forces the bladder muscles to work harder than necessary. What feels like a harmless delay, even after a few minutes of urination, may not be as innocent as it appears. It boosts the internal pressure inside the bladder. This added pressure not only brings discomfort, but may also irritate the prostate, especially when it's already enlarged. The result is inflammation that may intensify prostate symptoms. The longer urine sits in the bladder, the more concentrated it becomes, and this may contribute to urinary tract infections as well. Men with BPH are particularly at risk from the consequences of delayed urination. Their narrowed urethra already makes bladder emptying more difficult. Add frequent urine retention to the situation, and the bladder begins to lose strength and flexibility. Eventually, it struggles to empty fully, even when given the opportunity. This paves the way for chronic retention. Prostate doctors strongly warn against this practice, especially for aging men. Listening to your body and urinating when you feel the urge is a small but powerful preventive habit. It helps maintain consistent urinary flow and reduces irritation for both the bladder and the prostate. Sticking to this habit supports bladder health over the long term and helps avoid painful problems down the line. Detrusor muscle and bladder strain. When the prostate enlarges, narrowing the urethra, the bladder adapts by pushing harder to expel urine. This extra strain over time causes thickening of the bladder wall, particularly in the detrusor muscle, which drives urination. This condition is known as detrusor hypertrophy. It's the body's way of managing resistance, but it comes with a downside. As the detrusor muscle strengthens, it also becomes less stretchable. That loss of flexibility makes it harder for the bladder to comfortably hold urine. Men might start experiencing more frequent urges to urinate even when the bladder isn't fully filled. In some cases, the muscle becomes so overused that it contracts on its own. This can trigger sudden urgency or even accidental leaks. Over time, the thickened muscle may also fail to fully empty the bladder. This creates a pattern of incomplete emptying and greater urinary retention. This not only worsens BPH symptoms, but may also harm the bladder's overall performance. It's a textbook example of how the body's own coping methods, though helpful at first, can bring lasting issues. Understanding how the bladder reacts to prostate enlargement is essential for timely action. Prostate experts urge early intervention to prevent the bladder from entering this hypertrophic phase. With the right management and consistent healthy habits, it's possible to preserve bladder strength and flexibility. Safeguarding the bladder is just as crucial as treating the prostate itself. Inflammation, the silent driver. Inflammation plays a critical role in the development of benign prostatic hyperplasia. As the prostate becomes irritated, whether from pressure, infection, or leftover urine, the immune system reacts by sending inflammatory cells to the area. This triggers swelling and discomfort. But more than that, it starts a chemical chain reaction. These immune responses may lead the prostate to grow even more. Cytokines and growth factors are released during this process. These substances, while intended for healing, can also cause new prostate cells to develop. This is particularly problematic for older men, whose hormonal state already encourages prostate growth. Inflammation isn't just a symptom, it becomes a cause of the condition itself. Chronic inflammation can also affect surrounding tissues, including the bladder neck and urethra. This can further reduce urine flow and raise urinary urgency. Inflammation may be mild, without fever or sharp pain, yet it silently drives prostate overgrowth. This is why many men with BPH also report ongoing discomfort or a feeling of pelvic pressure. To manage BPH effectively, doctors often focus on reducing underlying inflammation, lifestyle changes. Specific supplements, and in some cases medications, are used to interrupt this inflammatory cycle. By soothing the immune response, it's possible to slow prostate growth and ease urinary symptoms. Fighting inflammation isn't just about symptom relief, it's a long-term plan for prostate health. Everyday habits that worsen BPH. Certain daily behaviors, often unnoticed, can silently worsen prostate enlargement. High caffeine consumption is a prime example. Caffeine can irritate the bladder and increase urine production, which results in more urgency and frequent urination. For men with BPH, this added strain may intensify symptoms and aggravate inflammation. Reducing coffee, tea, and soda intake can make a meaningful difference. A sedentary lifestyle also poses risk. Limited movement slows blood flow to the pelvic area, encouraging fluid retention and inflammation. Over time, this poor circulation can damage both bladder and prostate health. Light activity, like walking or gentle stretching, supports healthy pelvic blood flow. Staying physically active promotes urinary health and better well-being overall. Diet, hydration, and prostate support. Diet plays a major role too. Meals rich in saturated fats, added sugars, and processed items can trigger inflammation across the body. This not only makes prostate symptoms worse, but also harms heart health and metabolism. On the flip side, a diet loaded with vegetables, healthy fats, and antioxidants helps calm the immune system and defend the prostate. Your food choices truly shape how your body responds to inflammation and stress. Hydration, or lack thereof, is another overlooked issue. Many men reduce water intake to avoid urinating often, but this only makes the urine more concentrated and irritating. Proper hydration helps flush the urinary tract and lowers the risk of infections. Break the cycle of inflammation. Building better habits, from diet to movement, is essential for breaking the pattern of prostate inflammation. Chronic urinary retention is one of the most serious outcomes of unmanaged BPH. It occurs when the bladder can't empty itself completely, often due to blockage caused by an enlarged prostate. Men may feel a frequent urge to urinate, but only release small amounts, or at times, none at all. This isn't just a discomfort, it's a medical emergency. As time passes, urine stored in the bladder stretches it beyond its normal limit. This weakens bladder muscles and boosts the likelihood of infection. In some instances, pressure from the overly full bladder can push urine backward into the kidneys, risking damage. Chronic retention may lead to permanent bladder problems if not addressed promptly. Many men are unaware of this risk until the signs become intense. The gradual build-up of retention allows the body to adapt until it suddenly can't anymore. Inability to urinate, lower belly pain, or swelling might be the earliest red flags. By this point, catheterization is often necessary, and long-term treatment becomes harder. Now, if you're still with us and truly care about keeping your bladder and prostate in check, type 1 below and hit the like button so we know you're engaged and want more helpful content. Prostate specialists emphasize the importance of being informed about retention and checking in regularly to avoid this outcome. Early treatment can reverse retention before permanent bladder damage happens. Understanding the dangers of chronic retention shows why proactive care is critical. In these cases, prevention is far better than the invasive options needed after the damage is done. Everyday habits that matter. Caring for your prostate begins with mindful, consistent daily habits. A simple but effective tip: urinate frequently. And don't wait until it becomes urgent. This eases pressure on the bladder and helps reduce irritation around the prostate. Scheduling regular bathroom breaks, even during busy days, supports your body's natural rhythm. Pelvic floor workouts, often called Kegels, help build strength in the muscles that regulate urination. These exercises improve control and reduce post-void dribbling. They're easy to practice at home and are recommended by urologists for men seeing early signs of BPH. Spending just a few minutes daily on these can lead to clear improvements. Eat, drink, and check in your nutrition plays a key protective role as well. Eating foods rich in antioxidants, omega-3s, and anti-inflammatory compounds like tomatoes, leafy greens, and fatty fish help support both bladder and prostate function. Reducing processed foods, sugars, and excessive red meat intake brings down body-wide inflammation. Hydration is also vital. Drinking sufficient water flushes the urinary system and reduces the risk of infections. Finally, routine visits with a prostate health specialist become more important after age 60. These appointments allow for early spotting of changes and timely action. Whether it's through lifestyle changes or medical management, BPH is far easier to handle when caught early. Prevention, a daily decision. Prevention isn't just an idea, it's a steady, daily investment in your prostate health. Want to go further and stay ahead of future issues? Here's the bottom line. You don't have to wait for symptoms to begin managing your prostate well. Start today. Small, repeatable actions can help you avoid serious health issues later. The worst mistake, thinking, "That won't be me," until it is. Let's use what we've learned to make lasting changes. If even one tip helped you today, pause and hit subscribe for more no-fluff men's health content. Drop a comment below. What part of today's video hit hardest for you? Your feedback truly motivates us to keep creating. Share this with someone you care about and stay on the path to better health.